Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask an Assistant, the podcast for executive assistants and the people that love us. I'm your host, Jess Lindgren. Let's get to work. At the time of recording, Los Angeles is battling drought conditions, high winds, wildfires, and the damage at present, at time of recording, I know this is all subject to change and does change day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, but at the time of recording, the damage is over 30,000 acres burned with low containment of the fires. Over 10,000 structures have burned down. That includes family homes, businesses, entire neighborhoods in some cases, and nearly 100,000 people are under mandatory evacuation orders. On top of that, at least 20 individuals have lost their lives. I am so grateful that the loss of life is low, but I know that any loss is an important one, and losing, the stories of people who just bought their first home, who just moved in days or weeks or months ago, the stories of people who have built generations of friends and family and businesses in these neighborhoods and areas that have been devastated by the wildfires. Like the total impact of this disaster is, as I said, developing, and the total final impact of it will be felt for decades, if not generations to come. And all of us, myself included, all of us here listening, part of the executive assistant, part of the Ask an Assistant community, I really thank you for listening and being part of my professional world. I lived in San Diego for 3 years, so I definitely have ties, personal and parasocial, let's be real, to, I have a lot of ties to Southern California, more ties in San Diego than Los Angeles, but a lot of my favorite podcasters are based in LA. So that's where I say the parasocial comes into play. But like my esthetician is based in Los Angeles. I have several friends and a couple of family members who are in LA. Thankfully, not in the direct path of destruction just yet, but a lot of us have connections to Southern California, and as an employer, as a colleague, as a fellow human being, I am sure that at least some of you listening have felt compelled to help, and I have some ideas to share about that. So disclaimer up top, I am using the present situation of the LA wildfires as the example in this episode because it's the example that is presently happening closest to home for me. I guess I don't know if it's the closest major situation that's happening, but it's near and dear to my heart and garnering a lot of attention. But a lot of what I have to share idea-wise can be applied to any situation. Climate change affected disasters, wars, conflict zones, mass shootings, like any major event like that, whether it's something that's receiving global attention or something like if one of your colleagues or a friend or a family member, one person lost their home instead of 10,000 people losing homes and businesses. That's still that still has a big effect, like in your personal life and your professional life. So a lot of the ideas that I share with you today, again, using the LA fires as the example because it's the one that's presently happening, but definitely take these ideas and apply them where appropriate in your life. We're going to cover 3 main points today. I would like to advise, especially in a professional setting, but also in a personal setting, talk with your legal and financial professionals. Second, I would love to recommend that you find, research, and share legitimate resources with your network, whether that's employees, colleagues, friends, and family. And then finally, support who you want, what you want, when and where you're able, and consider choosing a why when you are making your donations, your support, whatever that might look like. Point the first. Talk with your legal and financial professionals. I cannot stress this one enough because those people, your lawyers, your CPAs, your in-house legal counsel, whoever your legal professional might be, your accountant, your CPA, your tax person, whoever it is that handles the finances in your life. If you happen to be fortunate enough to be a legal and or financial professional or have some strong understanding in these regards, fantastic. For me personally, I have been doing some reading and some research about what is and isn't allowed. Some of it I still don't fully understand. So I, again, am just going to direct you. Speak with your legal and financial professionals. They know the county rules, the city rules, the state rules, the region rules, the country rules. If they don't know the rules, it's their job to find out. As an executive assistant, listening to this show, as an executive assistant who might have a business that has been lost to the fires, you might have employees, whether they're remote or in person, who have been directly impacted. As the executive assistant at your company, in your organization, it is very likely that you will be involved in any decisions and or distribution of aid to any affected employees. You're going to be the one, probably, honestly, figuring out what your company can and will do that will have the most immediate impact without a later burden to the affected employee. Again, you are going to be the person liaising with your legal and or financial professionals, and then potentially you might be asked to summarize that information and present it to leadership. You might be the person coordinating calendars so you can get your attorney and or accountant on a call with your leadership. So you will more than likely be involved in some way, shape, or form in the collection of the information and then distribution of whatever aid your company can and will provide to any affected employees. And what I mean by that is here in the United States, like what I mean by the can and will, especially the can piece, is that here in the United States where I am based, companies are generally required to directly monetarily support employees in the form of salary, just like cash under the table, big no-no. Something simple like a gift card, like you won the office raffle and you got a $25 coffee shop gift card. They can be and often are tacked on to an employee's check and taxed accordingly. Your financial professionals in your life will know or research, understand, and then relay to you what you can and cannot do from a financial standpoint. It's on you and leadership to take it from there and decide what you will do. Excuse me. Next is speaking with your legal professionals. Your legal professionals may have already baked some disaster relief policies into your employee handbooks, company rules, operating procedures. Definitely refer to these documents for guidance. If there is something that you don't understand, call your legal professional and talk about it until you do. If disaster relief for employees is not covered in your company policies and procedures, speak with your legal team to figure out what is legally permissible for you to provide to employees who have been directly impacted by a disaster. Again, time of recording, talking about the LA fires right now. Employees may have lost their homes. They may have, their house might still be standing, but they needed to evacuate and can't go back until the area has been cleared as safe to return. If your affected employees are just outside of the disaster area, like maybe they don't have to evacuate, their homes are safe, but they're close to LA, they might have taken on friends or family or colleagues, honestly, depending on the relationship and location. And your employees' focus in the moment is the new people that are now living under their roof. Like, grant as much grace as you can as an employer. Couple extra PTO days. If you have an unlimited PTO policy, maybe it's something where you keep them looped in on super urgent matters, whatever they might be, but like, give your employees grace no matter how they are affected by these fires or whatever disaster might happen before or in the future. I mean, you can't really go back and provide retroactive disaster relief. Maybe you can, I don't know. But for this and future disasters and big happenings, if you will, provide what resources your local laws and company budget will allow. Also make sure you are providing those resources fairly. Don't give one person $9,000 and somebody else $1,000 worth of relief. Like, make sure that whatever it is that you're giving out, that it's fair across the board. I personally don't love this one, but some companies allow and encourage PTO donations or pools. If this is the best that your company can do, please do it. Like, don't take one person's opinion about whether or not they love a PTO bank. Like, I'm sure people have benefited from PTO pools, and it's been a big relief, a great help. It just, I don't know, it shifts the burden of assistance to the other employees rather than the company. So it just kind of, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. It just kind of gives me the ick. Like, the vibe is not good. But if this is what your company can do, please do it. This is definitely permissible by United States Internal Revenue Service standards. So just make sure that you're following the rules to a T. The people who benefit from extra days of PTO, I'm sure even just time to fill out paperwork, which they're going to be doing for the next 1 to 10 years of their lives, grieve, veg out, and absorb what just happened. Like, I'm sure a lot of people, if not all people who have been affected in whatever way, are absolutely reeling from this, and giving them a little bit of time, a little bit of extra time, however it gets to them, that they can take time off, I'm sure is a huge relief. From what research I've done, it does seem that PTO taken by the recipient, so the person who has been affected by a disaster, who is the recipient of the PTO pool, that time when they take it will be taxed for the employee, but donated PTO will not be taxed for the person donating it, if that makes sense. So, like, when you take PTO, like, I took a vacation in November and I saw on my pay stub, regular hours, X number of hours, vacation hours, X number of hours, taxed at X number of dollars. So they're taxed slightly differently, but there will be PTO time recorded then on that person's paycheck in the future. But the person who donates their PTO will not be taxed. They will just be giving a PTO hour, day, week, whatever. Again, talk with your legal and financial professionals. They know how this stuff works. Moving on, point the second. Find, research, and share legitimate resources with your employees, colleagues, friends, and families. I personally, during this one, was... what do I want to say here? I shared a piece about the city of LA cutting the firefighters' budget to give more money to the LA PD, and a lot of then, like, city employees jumped on to say, like, hey, that's not true. So just make sure that when you are sharing resources and information, that it is correct, that it has been fact checked, that it has been independently confirmed. And that's something that you can use your critical thinking skills, which you as an executive assistant have in spades. So use those critical thinking skills, reach out, make sure that things are correct before you share them. It was something that I thought was coming from a lot of different voices, from a lot of people that I know, love, and trust. And again, 2 days later, turned out to not be true. So just make sure that you're operating with best intentions and that you are operating with fact-checked information. One of the best resources that I've seen in the past few days is a spreadsheet circulating of GoFundMes for Black families who lost their homes. Right now, the list is 500 names and counting. When I first checked it, it was like 200. It's up to 500. Altadena was a historically Black neighborhood, an area where Black families were allowed to buy houses and did. Areas where multi-generational families were living together. I think that is a really excellent place if you feel so compelled to donate. Just historically underserved area and people who have now lost their generational homes, their generational wealth. GoFundMe is a legitimate, trusted website. And there's links inside of the spreadsheet that I will link in the show notes. And you can pick any fundraiser that you want, double check it, find a friend of a friend, find some kind of connection to LA, whatever it might look like. But that is one of the best resources that I've seen floating around. Depending on who you follow and what you want to support, I've seen spreadsheets of like collected GoFundMe campaigns for Black families, Latino families, artists, musicians, animators, comedians, etc. Like pick a niche, pick a campaign, and donate accordingly. Point the third, rounding out the three things that I said we would talk about today, the who, what, when, where, why of it all. We love that here on Ask an Assistant. The example that comes to mind for me is, let's say you're a musician and you feel called to donate gear to someone who lost their studio. There's a lot of creative professionals out there in LA, and sadly, this is a very common situation. But that right there, that's your why, who, and what in one fell swoop. The when is definitely now, but it will also be ongoing as people start to relocate, rebuild, and realize what they need. Day by day, week by week, month by month, probably year by year. You might opt to support a centralized musicians fund. Maybe your favorite LA-based artist has a GoFundMe, a Venmo, a PayPal link, a Patreon, a Substack, like some other way that you can directly support them. Pick a where and donate. If it's a one-time thing, amazing. If it's $5, incredible. Every little bit adds up and helps. Pick that who, what, when, where, why, and do it. Personally, I just spent my Christmas money on donations to a few organizations and people that I will link to in the show notes. They are Solidarity and Snacks, which I found through the Yo, Is This Racist podcast. Tawny Newsome, Andrew T. Andrew T volunteers with them regularly. I support their Patreon and also kick them some cash to they do distributions of food, water, and supplies for the residents of Skid Row in LA. I donated to Junior High LA. They are a community space in Los Angeles that I found. I don't know their exact location off the top of my head, not an Angelino, don't know my neighborhoods, but a few comedians and podcasters that I love posted about them. So I made a donation to that organization. I sent some money to my LA-based esthetician who recently had knee surgery and had to evacuate on crutches with one leg that is not weight-bearing at the moment. I also sent some money to Blair Imani of Smarter in Seconds fame on Instagram. She presently has 11 family members who lost their homes, now living in her home indefinitely. I think she said it's 4 or 5 kids, and then the rest is grown-ups. What a generous and incredible thing. Like, I'm amazed that she has the space and is able to take everybody on. But in that situation, like literally every $5 will help support an unexpected 11 people. I personally chose to split up my donations, but I came across Caroline Moss from G Thanks, had a really great idea. Basically, if you don't have a direct personal connection to someone in LA, but you do want to help, you can adopt, quote unquote, like adopt one GoFundMe campaign and focus all of your efforts there. If you're having casual conversations with people, recommend that they donate to that one campaign. Have the link handy so you can text it to people. You can DM it to people. Put it in a newsletter if you're a content creator, a person who does that. Tweet it out. Even some random person seeing your post on Blue Sky might feel compelled. They might really love what it is that you're putting out into the world, or might say, hey, I've got $5, $10, $100, $1,000, and might just bless somebody's campaign with an extra little boost. Tell family, tell friends, tell colleagues, treat it like you're a Girl Scout in the 90s, going door to door selling cookies, and fundraise until that goal is met and then some. Nora McInerney of TTFA fame often says to support how and where you can with what skills, interests, and resources that you have. Her formula is what you can do competently, what you will do humbly, and if possible, consistently. And where those two meet, there's your answer. It could be that you donate $5 to 5 GoFundMe campaigns. It could be a $5 donation monthly to a person or organization who's been affected by whatever the present disaster is. It might be offering pro bono administrative help. If you're a paralegal, maybe you can help people understand their insurance policies or understand what's going on. If you work in an insurance agency, like what a great service to provide to somebody who is overwhelmed just by the loss of their home and now has to relocate and continue paying mortgage payments on a house that no longer exists. Whatever it is that you can do and will do, please do it. Listen to the people on the ground. As of right now, and with most disasters, the most helpful thing is money. People need money so that the people who are directly affected can make their own choices about what they need. Donated soap and shampoo are amazing, fantastic, but many people have preferred brands, scents, whatever, and I can only imagine that the ability to choose your own shampoo in the midst of a crisis would be such a comfort. Definitely donate local and small if you can. Organizations like the Red Cross and United Way are legitimate and excellent choices to support, but your money will go further, faster, if you give it to an individual, a family, or a mutual aid organization on the ground. And yes, a lot of what I've talked about today is applicable to any disaster of any magnitude anywhere in the world throughout your life. When mass tragedy strikes, don't just look for the helpers. Be a helper if you can, because it's likely someday that you're going to be the one asking for or needing help. And that's the episode for this week. If you are in LA, please wear masks as long as public health officials advise, and maybe even a few days after. There's a lot of research that has gone into 9/11, the fallout from 9/11 for New Yorkers and New Jersey and the surrounding area. The carcinogens that have been released into the air from burning buildings is not great for your lungs. I've been seeing posts all over that public libraries in LA have N95s available for free. Swing by, grab a few, share a few, make sure you're wearing them. Evacuate when officials tell you to, and stay safe. And until next time, take care.